It's January 31st, 1989. We are in Huntington Beach, California, a very desirable suburban city in the LA basin. Franklin UN is just coming home from his business. He's coming home from a hard day, long day at work.
Daddy! Hey, sweetie, hold on. Let me put these boxes down.
He has a wife and 2 daughters who adore him.
Help me over here. And I'm gonna grab the briefcase with the door.
He returns out to the garage. The family hears a very loud noise.
What is going on in here? Dad! Oh my God, Franklin! Dad!
Her husband and father staggers back into the room covered in blood and collapses halfway into the kitchen, and half his body is still in the garage doorway.
Mom, go call someone!
The wife goes absolutely out of her mind and calls 911 and reports this as an accident.
My husband, he's not responding. Please, just hurry.
The first officer that arrives takes a look at this guy and realizes this is no accident.
Dispatch, I'm with 1 male deceased. Go ahead and start me a medical examiner.
Huntington Beach is not a place where you'd expect to encounter violent crime, but crime knows no bounds, and violence knows no address.
My name is Dale Mason. I'm a retired homicide detective. I retired after 30 years of service. As far as I was concerned, being assigned to homicide was the best job in the business. It was a Tuesday, and it was a regular work day for me.
Oh, babe, I think I'm gonna turn on in.
I worked a shift during the day.
The phone rings, and he instinctively knows who it is.
Mason.
It's not a friend. It's work.
Where?
You can feel it when they call.
It would always be someone that outranked you.
I'm on my way.
And it would always be a situation where you had to go from 0 to 60 immediately.
Looks like I gotta go to work.
When those calls come in, there is a certain urgency by the caller, and you're supposed to immediately go there, bail out of an aircraft at low altitude, and somehow resolve this before you hit the ground.
No one detective solves a homicide. It's a team effort. You have to draw on all the experience of anyone that's willing to help you.
Is Detective Hooper here yet?
Yeah, he's over in the garage.
When Mason arrives at the residence where this occurred, he's shown into the crime scene by a uniformed officer who points out the victim.
I recall that the victim was on the floor of the kitchen. He had what appeared to be a single gunshot wound to the chest.
So what do we know so far?
Married, couple kids. Wife said he just got home from work.
He's a pharmacist by trade. He owns several drugstores in Carson, California, more of a working class, tough kind of neighborhood. But he lives in Huntington Beach and travels back and forth to work. One of the detectives assigned to the case by Mason is Detective Richard Hooper.
I think I got something.
Hooper has discovered the briefcase. Mason gets down on one knee and looks in this briefcase, and it's filled with cash. Now, that's interesting.
How much do you think's in there?
I don't know.
I was informed sometime later that there was $30,000 in cash in the briefcase.
Now, why is a pharmacist traveling around with 30 grand in his briefcase? He is a pharmacist, which means he can buy Schedule I narcotics. The question becomes, what is your work, Franklin? And what are you doing with this much cash? The other question is, why is it still there? Why not take the money? Well, the answer is they either don't know about the money or they panic after they shoot him.
You need evidence?
I have no idea who the suspect could be. It could be a neighbor, it could be the wife. It's a mistake to focus too soon on a particular suspect. So then you get tunnel vision and you start looking for evidence that tends to incriminate someone rather than just trying to find the truth.
Anything else interesting?
Not really. Haven't found any casings.
The fact that there are no shell casings told me the weapon used was a revolver.
Most people in 1989 had revolvers, where the casing is retained in the cylinder after the round has been fired.
I had a great opportunity to work with Detective Dale Mason. He is one of the best detectives dealing with homicide cases that I ever met in Orange County. Detective Mason will generally just eyeball the crime scene. After he accumulates enough information, he will start talking with individuals
Meet you back at the station.
that were actually at the crime scene.
First off, I want to tell you I'm sorry for your loss.
And Mason is careful when he approaches her. He doesn't want to alarm her or make her believe that somehow he is suspicious of her or even suspicious of her husband. He opens up with the standard line of questioning. So tell me about Franklin.
He's 43 years old. He's originally from China.
The victim had immigrated from China. He owned and operated at least 2 pharmacies in Los Angeles.
Of course, the 70s were really pivotal years, and during that time, we had a lot of immigration from Southeast Asia, for instance. A lot of those people came to California because they were escaping the horrors in their homeland.
And he really liked Los Angeles, but we just always been more comfortable living in Huntington Beach.
It was not unusual at all for families to live like in the suburban communities of Orange County and work in downtown Los Angeles.
She says he worked in a bad neighborhood filled with other immigrants, and they all loved him because they saw him as a brother. That he too was an immigrant to the United States, just like them.
He was a very kind individual that really wanted to help his community.
This crime, when it happened, must have been an absolute shock to the community because it would have been so unusual. He had a pharmacy up in the Carson area, and he was an important person in that community.
They weren't customers, they were his friends. Mr. Ewan allowed them to come to his location with a check, and he would cash it.
And it finally strikes Mason. It's the 31st of January. It's the end of the month. People get paid by the end of the month. He has that much money because he is prepared to cash people's checks.
He had a ton of cash on him all the time. That's when I convinced him to hire security guards.
He hired licensed security guards, but he didn't go through an agency. If you were licensed and matched a certain image and could be intimidating, I think he would hire you.
So he therefore would use them to protect him when he had that kind of money. When he would drive home, they were instructed to follow him to a certain exit. Then he would get off at that exit off the freeway and proceed to his house a short distance away, but they weren't permitted to follow him, so even they would know where he lived.
Victim didn't trust the security guards 100%.
So that gives Mason something to go on. Who are these people, and do they connect to this crime in some way?
Well, thank you for coming in.
Because he believes Mrs. Yuen is not part of this.
When I was assigned a homicide case, the moment I got the phone call, I made up my mind right then and there. I was going to do everything legally possible to solve that murder.
Homicide investigation is not a sprint, it's a marathon. But the day continues, and it just continues as long as it needs to.
At 9:30 in the morning, I'm at the autopsy.
What do you have for me?
Pathologists ruled that it was a homicide and the cause of death was a gunshot wound to the heart.
Looks like a 38 or a 357 Magnum.
The bullet size in those two are the same. The difference is the amount of propulsion.
Now that we had the bullet, if and when we found the murder weapon, we could do a comparison.
You mind if I use your phone?
There's certain characteristics of the bullet as it comes out of the gun that creates a unique look.
Mason tells Hooper to meet him over at Ewan's pharmacy to see what they can learn from his employees.
Okay.
I started to form the opinion early on, one, that the suspect was someone that had inside information.
We'd like to ask you a few questions about your boss.
I thought there was a high probability that one of the security guards was involved.
My name's Lester Hicks.
Lester Hicks is the security guard assigned to protect Franklin Yuen.
The guy you need to talk to is Danny Mosley.
He was very cooperative.
It's kind of his right-hand man the past few months.
Do you know where Mr. Mosley is right now?
No idea.
Lester says he just kind of disappeared. He didn't show up for work one day and nobody's seen him since.
That dude was wild.
How so?
He talked about how you should rip Mr. Yuen off. He had all his money.
He said that this security guard had a plan to rob the victim.
Now Mason's eyes and ears perk up when he hears that. Here's a guy, Lester Hicks, saying out loud that Danny Mosley, the long-term security guard, has mentioned robbing Franklin Yuen. Well, that's interesting.
All right, Mr. Hicks, thanks.
Well, Mr. Mosley, why did you disappear? Putting your final touches on the plan to rob and kill Mr. Yuen? Well, I think we better find out. Detective Mason's first step in trying to find Mosley is to run him through their systems.
I'm looking for some information on a Danny Mosley.
Well, that hits pay dirt almost immediately. Danny Mosley's in jail. So he's going to be awfully easy to locate. He's in a federal lockup facility in Los Angeles. Mason contacts the field office of the FBI, so what's up with Danny Mosley? And they explain that Danny Mosley is the leader of a stick-up crew. They are ambitious, they are busy, and they are dangerous.
About the date?
Mosley had been arrested for committing several robberies. We were able to confirm that Mosley was in custody on the night of the murder.
So now Mosley has a great alibi, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have a Confederate who robbed Yuen on his behalf.
See, I don't think he's gonna talk.
The FBI says Mosley's hardcore, and he won't talk to him, period, the end.
He's a real tough guy.
Mason says, yeah, I figured that, but I want to plant a seed with him and see if it grows.
I was hoping that we could shake Mosley up, make him nervous, and maybe get him to communicate with someone about any knowledge that he might have concerning the murder of our victim.
Who the hell are you? I ain't got nothing to say to you.
That's okay, Danny, because I just need you to listen.
Dale Mason is just very straightforward. You don't see him laughing and being jovial. He's just got this straight line approach, but it's very, very effective.
We told him that we knew that he was involved in the murder of our victim, and that sooner or later we'd be back to pick him up.
Guard!
Mason is aware that criminals are very evasive, easily frightened, and if you convince them that you know something, they're going to panic. So Mason waits. He knows it will happen because Mosley's got nothing else to do. He's in jail. Nothing to occupy his time except his own fear. It takes 2 weeks in Mosley's case. 2 weeks before he calls anybody.
Hey, Mosley, what's happening?
Their calls are recorded. They are told that. So criminals believe, because they're smart guys, that they'll just speak in code and their friends will know what they mean.
Yo, I need you to do something for me.
And they're correct. Their friends know what it means. And so do the police, for heaven's sake.
Yo, I need you to do something for me.
My partner and I listened to all the telephone calls that were being made where Mosley was being housed.
I need you to get rid of my baby. You understand?
All right, I got you.
Mosley is talking to another male subject, and he's asking him to get rid of something.
Get rid of my baby.
But he's referring to this something as his baby.
All right, yeah.
All right.
Well, you don't get rid of babies, but you do get rid of objects.
It was obviously something he was trying to either destroy or conceal in some manner.
Now, what object could that be?
My guess, that's our weapon.
All they have is a phone number. They have no idea who Mosley was speaking with. They have a number that the person was called at.
I wonder if he ever visited Mosley in jail.
With visitation procedures, the person visiting has to document his or her name and address and telephone number. When the call is made from the dormitory, the number being called is also documented.
Enjoy it. I think I got something here. Gerald Jennings.
So he goes to the logs, and there's the name and address of the guy he called.
That's cool.
Yeah.
He runs a background on this kid, and he's not what he thinks he should be.
He was a young man. He was a student at UCLA. He didn't have a criminal record. He'd never been arrested or anything like that. We obtained a search warrant. Once we were in place, I telephoned this individual and told him that I had been in the detention center with Mosley as a fellow inmate.
Oh, hey, man. It's Danny's friend again.
And that Mosley had asked me to contact him
I'm about to head your way.
to pick up his gun. I wasn't sure what he was going to do. I was hoping he would get the gun and leave the residence.
Mason's ploy works. Jennings panics when he gets that phone call and immediately leaves the house. And he's carrying something when he gets in the car.
Suspects on the move.
Put your hands where I can see him. Do it now. Step out slowly. Keep your hands where I can see him.
We stopped him,
Gerald Jennings, we have a search warrant for your car.
executed the search warrant.
You got him?
Got him.
And we found the .357 Magnum in the car.
Mason is somewhat elated. Now he has a gun of the proper caliber in the hands of a known Confederate to Mosley. Is it the murder weapon? And is Jennings the killer? Well, we're going to have to see. Detective Dale Mason is on the hunt for the murderer of Franklin Ewan, a pharmacist with a young family from Huntington Beach, California. Mason takes Jennings to his headquarters and locks him in an interrogation room and personally carries the gun to ballistics for examination. So now he's proceeding quickly to answer both questions. Is it the gun, and is it the guy?
I was very hopeful that we had recovered the gun that was used in the murder, but I needed ballistics experts to confirm that for me.
Y'all mind telling me what's going on
Jennings initially wants to play bad guy.
I mean, you have no right to keep me.
He's saying all the bad guy things, but he doesn't mean it.
Well, you know you're not here for nothing.
He had a kind of a smug attitude, as though he was above it all.
We're investigating a murder.
Mason sees through the bravado to cover the fear.
I told him we were investigating the murder, and as far as I knew, the weapon that was taken out of his car was the weapon that was used in the murder.
If you don't cooperate, we're gonna bring you down for murder.
When I told him that I thought that he had possession of a gun that was used in the murder, that got his attention.
And now Jennings looks like he's going to have a coronary.
I'll be back.
And Mason gets up and leaves. He just wanders down to ballistics to see the good news.
Oh, hey. Bad news, I'm afraid.
You're kidding.
It's not your gun.
And it's not good news.
Are you absolutely sure?
Positive.
The gun didn't match. That just, in my mind, didn't diminish the odds that we would ever recover the weapon.
Homicide is always a series of problems. So now we got to go back to Jennings in the hope that maybe he can clear this up in some way. Jennings is frantic. He begins to just literally start running his mouth.
So how do you know Mosley?
I've known him since we were kids.
He and Mosley grew up in the same neighborhood.
When he called me from jail.
He tells Mason that he worked at not being a criminal, but he maintained a certain loyalty and friendship with Mosley.
I didn't shoot anybody. That gun never left my house.
And he's almost to the point of tears. And Mason sees a certain amount of honesty in that he's probably truthful, that he just kept it for Mosley.
I got nothing to do with this.
If you didn't use it to kill anyone, who did?
He was trying to tell us everything that he knew about the members of the robbery crew.
Standing around with a bunch of guys. They didn't do just banks.
He told us that he was aware that the crew had robbed the Queen Mary and the credit union at the Long Beach Naval Shipyard.
Mosley told Jennings all about running this robbery crew and bragged to him about the crimes. Mosley trusted him as a lifelong friend. So then Cooper hits this kid with a $64 question.
This crew, this Mosley crew.
Got a name? Give us something. There's this one guy.
He knew the names of some of the crew members.
Michael.
He told us about one in particular.
He had an Italian last name.
The subject had recently left California and returned to Cleveland, Ohio.
Benicio. Michael Benicio.
He said his name is Michael Benicio. He was part of that crew. He was in all the robberies.
See? Now that wasn't so hard, was it?
Can I go now?
Yes. Yes, you can.
I felt in my gut that we were headed in the right direction.
Mason is doing what all homicide detectives do. One foot in front of the other, one crumb to the next crumb. Where is that going to lead him? Mason knows it will lead me wherever it must.
I got a name I want to run by you. Michael Benicio? Is he in jail right now?
We learned that Michael, since returning to Cleveland, had been arrested for robbery.
Oh, he's out.
Benicio makes bond, but he's bonded by his parents who put up their house to get him out of jail. So he knows if he bails or runs, the parents lose their home. He's not going to do that. So he's going to stay in Cleveland, and they know where.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
I thought it was critical to get to Cleveland as soon as possible. Sometimes timing is everything. We needed to get to Michael while the door was open, while the opportunity was there.
Mason won't back off. He'll go to Cleveland. He'll go to Mars if he has to. It's time to confront Michael and find out what he knows. Mason and Hooper contact Benicio's attorney to see if he's willing to talk to them.
Now, this meeting is all contingent on my client.
To their surprise, Benicio's lawyer is very interested in cooperating.
We met Michael at his attorney's office, and we learned that Michael was in Cleveland at the time of the murder. That was as good of an alibi as you can get. But I believe at the time that Michael wasn't directly involved in the murder of the victim.
Why don't you tell us about the crews you were running with in California?
Because Michael's looking at a significant sentence for robbery. He was hoping by helping us that he would get a reduced sentence.
Then I went back to Cleveland.
Michael was very personable, likable. He told us about being involved in this robbery crew.
We made a lot of money.
He says these guys are marching right along, making a lot of money, and Mosley's the brains.
Then he got arrested.
When Mosley gets arrested, the crew falls apart. They don't have a leader.
We were hoping you could shed some light on a murder that happened back in Huntington Beach.
I told Michael,
We think a 357 was involved.
we believe that a 357 Magnum was involved.
I had a gun like that.
Michael volunteered to me that he had owned a 357 Magnum when he was participating in this robbery crew in Southern California.
I gave it to a guy.
Benicio tells them he didn't want to travel across state lines with that gun, so he gave it to a Confederate, a guy who was also a member of the stick-up crew, whose name was Willie Linton Hall. Mr. Hall told Benicio he would keep his gun for him until he returned from visiting his parents.
Willie's a bit crazy, you know?
Michael told me that Hall was the kind of person that can actually commit the murder.
Benicio says Hall probably did that murder because he's crazy enough to do that. And Mosley had talked to him about this pharmacist that always had a lot of money.
What makes you so sure Willie Hall's the guy?
One word. Money.
He goes on to say that Hall is probably worried, now that the crew has broken up, that his income is going away. So Hall probably struck out on his own using the gun provided to him by Mr. Benicio.
I can call him if you want. Not yet.
At this point, I'm starting to feel that we're at a very critical junction in this investigation. The next few steps I make better be the right ones.
Dale Mason is a person that knows what he's doing. He has a plan. He's very methodical, very calculating, and thorough.
Superiors criticized me for being slow. Their criticism was of absolutely no importance to me. I was going to work the case my way.
Mason doesn't care about pleasing his bosses. All he wants is justice. Mason and his partner make their next move.
We developed a plan to have Michael released into our custody.
Mason and Hooper are putting themselves on the line with this because they're obligating themselves to a judge in Ohio that Mr. Benicio is not going to escape and that they will return him to Ohio when required.
We had the FBI, we had Michael's attorney, we had the local district attorney. They were all on the same page. And so the judge was very cooperative.
So off they go to California. The plan is for Benicio to call Hall and invite him out to lunch.
Hey, Willie, it's Benicio.
We wanted him to drive to a location that would take a considerable amount of time to get there so that he and Hall would have an opportunity to talk.
Detective Mason's a smart guy. He understands you don't just bring up a subject of a murder in 6 blocks. He tells him, pick a place that's several miles away so you have ample time to get around to Mr. UN.
Okay, I'll pick you up around noon.
So Benicio makes the call.
Don't forget the gun, huh?
Mr. Hall agrees to go all the way across town with Benicio to go have lunch.
We wired the car for sound and recording. We set up a major surveillance team. We had a lot of risk involved.
If something goes wrong, Hall could kill him right then and there. He's got a gun with him. It's Benicio's gun, but so what? It's still a gun.
Want to run through it one last time?
There is some preparation involved here.
The main thing is, I need
Detective Mason, in general, would talk to the individual about the parameters of how you can talk to him, what you could say and what you can't say or do.
Ready to do this?
And that it would be legal and upheld in a court of law.
Now, when Mason sets up this plan, does he know that Hall is the one, as Hall is the shooter? Maybe. The only guy that knows is Hall. And you're relying on a fellow criminal, Benicio, to elicit that information. It's another step by step, and Hall happens to be the next step. So off they go, and Benicio goes to Hall's apartment and picks him up. So they're in the car, Benicio and Hall.
Where the hell you been at?
Reliving old times.
Remember the run at the Navy Yard? We almost hit them cops on the way out.
As 2 buddies who also happen to be bandits.
Yeah, that one was close.
Benicio finally looks at Hall and says,
What happened to that guy? You know, the pharmacist?
hey, whatever happened to that, that pharmacist dude? The one that had all of the money. That Mosley was his guard for a while.
Did you end up robbing him?
I tried to rob the dude. Dude wouldn't give me the briefcase. So, I blasted him.
And he says, yeah, I tried to rob him, but he wouldn't give me the briefcase, so I blasted the.
Oh, my. Guess what? No more investigation. Now it's laser focus on Willie Linton Hall.
Did you end up robbing him?
So after this light conversation between bandits, Hall looked at him and smiled and said, I blasted that son of a bitch.
I blasted him.
So now Mr. Hall has just confessed to a murder on tape in front of a witness.
Hall goes into some detail. He talks about surveilling him.
I was watching him.
He tells Benicio his income is falling apart. There is no more work without Danny Mosley. So now what? And Hall remembers the pharmacist.
I knew we had the money, and I needed it.
Hall had the license plate number of the victim's car. He knew a police dispatcher.
Hey, girl.
So he went to her and told her a sob story about being the victim of a hit and run.
Yeah, I got the dude's license plate number.
He says he just wants to see this guy and settle it like men between he and this person and get his car fixed.
It's 4V.
Can she run a license plate for him?
056.
And give him the guy's address? And this woman agrees to it, believing his story, apparently. She provides him with registration information and the address of Franklin UN.
When Hall's talking to Michael, he's like fun and games. He's jovial.
Oh, man.
Hall is proud of himself that he's so clever with this plan.
Yeah, that was good.
Detective Mason and Detective Hooper are listening to it in progress as it moves along. They're going to wait until they get every word they can out of this story before they stop that car. Hall tells Benicio that the night of the shooting, he drives to that house and finds no place to hide. So he decides that he has to climb a tree, which is almost something out of a cartoon, but that's what he does. And he waits for Yuen to come home. Yuen comes in the driveway, pulls in the garage. Hall drops out of the tree and goes into the garage to confront him.
Daddy! Hey, sweetie, hold on. Let me put these boxes down.
Hall says that he confronted him in the garage.
Briefcase, hand it over.
Demanded the briefcase.
When he confronts him,
Briefcase, I want it. Hand it over.
What do you want? Give
it to me.
Get out of the house.
something goes wrong. But Hall says, I panicked and I shot him.
God damn it.
What is going on in here?
Then I heard people inside, and I just ran. A typical armed robbery scenario. When panic happens, the gunfire tends to begin.
Dad! Franklin! Wake up! Mom, go call someone!
Did you get the money?
Nah, it just took off.
He kills him for nothing. He panics, he pulls the trigger, he ends Franklin Yuen's life, and he derives $0.00.
LAPD, keep your hands where we can see them.
See your hands.
We called in LAPD, had them stop the car. We took Michael and Willie Hall into custody. That's the best feeling in the world. We just made our case. We got a suspect in custody.
Mr. Benicio is granted his deal and winds up doing 10 years in prison in Ohio. Mr. Hall is taken to trial for first-degree murder and given the overwhelming evidence in the case. The jury has no difficulty finding him guilty.
When you hear the defendant basically admitting why he did it, that's compelling. I think that went a large way towards the jury finding Willie Hall guilty.
Once he was convicted, once he was in prison, that definitely was a day that people in the community were happy that he was no longer going to be able to terrorize anyone.
Franklin Yuen remains in the grave. What was his crime? He didn't have one. He was an innocent victim, living his life in the best way he thought he could, to take care of himself and his family.
It's a terrible thing for young kids to see or witness the death of one of their parents. I can't imagine they'll ever recover from that.
I would just extend my admiration and respect for the strength that they've carried out in living their life after losing their father.
One of the things I'm the most proud of is the Huntington Beach Police Department. A crime of this kind of magnitude, police would not stop until they solved it. They don't give up.
There are odd twists in these investigations. And then, as an investigator, you can find one tiny bit of information that gets you one step closer. It's what makes you tick. It's what gives you the energy to keep going.
Every homicide detective everywhere in the world, Detective Mason included, wade through quicksand that's waist deep for months and sometimes even years to find the Willie Linton Halls of the world because no one else is going to.
A young EMT answered a call to his home that had fatal consequences.
Matthew Newlander, he heard on his radio that a woman was injured at 204 Highgate. There's only one woman at 204 Highgate, that's his mother.
She was unconscious and not breathing.
Matthew instantly knew that his mother was dead.
How did my mom get beaten to death in the living room of her house?
Who would ever kill Carol Newlander? They all loved Carol Newlander.
The answer would leave Matthew questioning everything and everyone he knew.
This is such a convoluted, perplexing, disturbing, troubling case, and I wish to God that this had never happened.
Today we're jumping across the country to the Garden State, New Jersey. Specifically, we're in the suburb of Cherry Hill for the tragic story of a mother of three who was found beaten to death in her home. This is a case of whodunit that shocked a community. We'll explore it from the beginning until the very end, when a panel of 12 jurors had to make the most difficult decision of their lives. I'm Sloan Glass, and this is part one of Who Killed Carol on American Homicide. And just a note that some of this content is graphic. Please take care while listening. Consider the town of Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It's the perfect spot for people who want to live close enough, yet far enough away from two major cities.
Philadelphia to the south, New York City to the north.
Arthur Magida authored a book about one of Cherry Hill's most revered and respected couples, Fred and Carol Newlander. The two moved there in the 1960s when Fred took a job as a junior rabbi.
He was young. He was up to date. Lots and lots of people were happy that Fred and Carol had arrived.
Only about 2% of Americans practice Judaism, but with a community of over 25,000, Cherry Hill has one of the largest Jewish populations in the country, making it the perfect place for Rabbi Newlander to start his own synagogue.
In 1974, Fred and 17, 18 members of the earlier congregation formed Makor Shalom. Fred chose that term, Makor Shalom, because it means source of peace.
And that peaceful synagogue grew to nearly 1,000 congregants in Cherry Hill. And Rabbi Fred and Carol Newlander were looked at like royalty.
They were committed to this congregation. They were committed to developing something new that had not existed in Cherry Hill before. And that's what so many people found attractive about Makor Shalom and about Fred and Carol.
While Rabbi Newlander worked day and night, tending to his congregation, his wife Carol raised their three children.
They were almost like a unit, separate and apart from their father, because they knew that many evenings their father might, if they were lucky, be home for dinner.
And Carol wasn't your typical rabbi's wife. She also ran a popular bakery called Classic Cakes.
This was amazingly successful. It was perhaps the finest bakery in South Jersey. Members of the congregation came there, of course.
Everyone came for their red velvet cupcakes, breakfast pastries, and assortment of elaborate cakes.
It was also very, very profitable. But she was very, very careless with some of the money that was coming into the bakery. She would just stuff it into her purse and come home at night with $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 in cash.
All that cash played into Carol's demise.
On November 1st, 1994, Fred put in his usual work day at Makor Shalom.
And on that afternoon, Carol had volunteered with pediatric AIDS patients and returned home while her husband was still at the synagogue.
About 9 o'clock, he went back home. He opened the door, glanced into the living room. On his right, saw Carol Newlander lying on the floor of the living room in a pool of blood.
Just imagine the scene. Fred found Carol face down and badly beaten. It was horrific. This was his wife. Her blood was everywhere, so he ran to the kitchen, grabbed his cordless landline phone, and called 911.
911, state the emergency.
I just came home. My wife is on the floor, and there's blood all over her. I don't know what to do.
Does she appear to be breathing?
No, there's blood all over her.
They asked if she was alive. He said he didn't know.
I don't know whether should I touch her, should I not touch her?
Just leave everything the way it is, sir, and stay on the phone with me until the first police officer gets her.
That's when the rabbi remembered his son, Matthew, was working as an EMT that evening.
He's going to hear this. Cool. He's an Eastside EMT.
So I have to send somebody down, sir.
Oh, God.
Calm down. Hold on a second.
Tragically, Matthew Newlander did hear that call and quickly drove his ambulance to his house, nearly colliding with another emergency vehicle when he arrived. But before he got inside to see his mother, a friend grabbed him and carried him away from the house.
Matthew instantly knew that his mother was dead. Because if she was not, somebody would have said something comforting to him. Don't worry, she's barely injured. Don't worry, she's being treated right now. Nobody said anything like that.
That's when his dad, Rabbi Fred Newlander, walked up to him.
He was still holding his cordless telephone, wasn't using it, wasn't talking to anybody, but his manner was completely composed.
The rabbi was still dressed in his tailored suit he wore to temple. He was in shock. He stood on the driveway of their two-story home listening as Matthew frantically asked him question after question about his mother. Each time, the rabbi offered the same answer.
Don't worry. Everything will be fine. He was always buttoned up, and he was buttoned up November 1st, 1994, when he saw Carol lying in the living room, when he called 911, when he did his version of trying to comfort his son, Matthew.
By then, all of Highgate Lane and Cherry Hill was a dizzying sea of red and white from the lights of the emergency vehicles parked in front of the Newlanders.
My name is Richard Bombera. November 1st, 1994, I was working as a patrolman for the Cherry Hill Police Department.
Officer Bumbear was one of the first responders that night.
It's a upper middle class community, beautiful homes. It's the type of community where, everyone had their lawn nice, everyone knew each other, neighbors were very close and very friendly. So when I walked up the driveway of the residence, I noticed a man dressed in a suit, probably in his 50s or so.
That man was, of course, Rabbi Fred Newlander.
He had a portable phone in his hand, and immediately I asked him what was going on. He raised his left hand and pointed with the phone and said, "She's in there." And I was like, oh, okay. So I entered the house and immediately noticed Carol laying on the floor in the room right to my right. It was a white room. Didn't look like it was a room that was used commonly. White carpets, white furniture, white walls, and there was just this bright red blood spattered everywhere in that room. When I examined the body, I noticed that there were several indentations to her skull. Her fingers were all broken back and open from defensive wounds. There was a tremendous amount of pooled blood. She was cold. It was just obvious to me that somebody had bludgeoned her to death by repeated strikes to her head.
So now the complicated work of trying to figure out what happened began. There was no sign of forced entry and no other victims in the house. Just Carol.
Carol Newlander, she was business partners in a very prominent bakery, and she got into the habit of taking the till home where there was a significant amount of money, $10,000, $15,000.
The police wondered, if someone was after Carol's money, why did they leave other valuables behind? And how did they get into the house?
They had a lot of expensive items in the house. None of it was gone through. Dressers weren't gone through looking for money or jewelry. Everything was neat and tidy. So the idea of that it was a robbery or a home invasion that went bad didn't seem to line up with what I saw.
It wasn't like the police saw many homicides in Cherry Hill. This was the first homicide in 2 years, and it involved the beloved wife of Rabbi Fred Newlander.
The mayor's pulling up, and there's a lot of people showing up at that house that just seemed like, wow, this person certainly wasn't just an average citizen.
So the question on everyone's mind that night was, why?
There weren't any suspects, there weren't any leads, so the community just thought it was a random act of violence.
So no one could believe Carol Newlander, successful small business owner, mother of 3, who just spent her day volunteering with pediatric AIDS patients, had been robbed and beaten to death.
Not only are we dealing with a homicide of a prominent family in Cherry Hill, but Carol's son, Matthew, was working as an EMT that night, and he was responding to the house.
Matthew was a young EMT who just wanted to be with his mother to say goodbye, but heartbreakingly, protocol didn't allow it.
And that was difficult. It was unfortunate. I would have wanted to say goodbye to my mom, in that situation. And it's difficult. It's a part of the job, unfortunately, and you have to deal with it.
His mother was dead, and the lives of the Newlander family would never be the same again.
They were an all-American family in a sense. They had everything, and now they have nothing. It's a shame.
In the middle of the night, Saskia awoke in a haze. Her husband, Mike, was on his laptop. What was on his screen would change Saskia's life forever.
I said, I need you to tell me exactly what you're doing. And immediately, the mask came off.
You're supposed to be safe. That's your home. That's your husband.
To keep this secret for so many years, he's like a seasoned pro.
This is a story about the end of a marriage, but it's also the story of one woman who was done living in the dark.
You're a dangerous person who preys on vulnerable and trusting people. You're a predator, Michael Levingood.
Listen to Betrayal Season 5 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What if mind control is real?
If you could control the behavior of anybody around you, what kind of life would you have?
Can you hypnotically persuade someone to buy a car?
When you look at your car, you're going to become overwhelmed with such good feelings.
Can you hypnotize someone into sleeping with you?
I gave her some suggestions to be sexually aroused.
Can you get someone to join your cult?
NLP was used on me to access my subconscious.
NLP, aka Neuro-Linguistic Programming, is a blend of hypnosis, linguistics, and psychology. Fans say it's like finally getting a user manual for your brain.
It's about engineering consciousness.
Mind Games is the story of NLP. Its crazy cast of disciples and the fake doctor who invented it at a New Age commune and sold it to guys in suits. He stood trial for murder and got acquitted. The biggest mind game of all? NLP might actually work.
This is wild.
Listen to Mind Games on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey there, this is Dr. Jesse Mills, director of the Men's Clinic at UCLA Health and host of the Mailroom Podcast. Each January, guys everywhere make the same resolutions. Get stronger, work harder, fix what's broken. But what if the real work isn't physical at all? To kick off the new year, I sat down with Dr. Steve Poulter, a psychologist with over 30 years' experience helping men unpack shame, anxiety, and emotional pain they were never taught to name. In a powerful 2-part conversation, we discuss why men aren't emotionally bulletproof, why shame hides in plain sight, and how real strength comes from listening to yourself and to others.
Guys who are toxic, they're immature, or they've got something they just haven't resolved. Once that gets resolved, then there comes empathy and some compassion.
If you want this to be the year you stop powering through pain and start understanding what's underneath, listen to The Mailroom on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows.
On a cold night in November 1994, Carol Newlander was murdered in her Cherry Hill, New Jersey home. She was a mother of 3 who ran a successful bakery business and was the wife of South Jersey's most prominent rabbi, Fred Newlander.
People are sympathizing with Fred and whispering words of consolation in his ear.
Arthur Magida wrote a book about Carol Newlander's murder.
Carol's funeral was one of the largest in South Jersey. Dignitaries came. Politicians came.
As part of the Jewish tradition, people offered their condolences to the rabbi by saying, "May her memory be a blessing to you."
And then they whispered among each other who would ever kill Carol Newlander. They all loved Carol Newlander. And everybody is sad. And still, Fred Newlander is showing virtually no emotion.
There is a Jewish tradition called Shiva. It's the week-long period of mourning after a death. During Shiva, your friends, family, and neighbors come by and take care of you. They bring you food, provide you comfort, and run your errands so you can mourn.
How he comported himself that evening and in some of the days that followed very much flowed from his experience as a rabbi. Fred Newlander dealt with death and birth over and over again in the course of his profession. He was to some degree, acculturated to death. Not to murder, but to death.
By the time they were sitting Shiva for Carol Newlander, Cherry Hill police officers had already questioned Fred Newlander and 2 of his children, Rebecca and Matthew. If you remember, Matthew was one of the EMTs who came to the house on the night of his mother's murder.
Matthew told the police about a very, very severe argument that he witnessed between his parents 2 days before Carol was killed. Carol telling Matthew that Fred didn't want to work on this marriage any longer, that Fred wanted to divorce Carol, and Matthew told the police that Carol had then dashed down to the basement, grabbed some suitcases, and threw them at Fred Newlander. Told him to get out.
But Rabbi Newlander gave detectives a different take.
He said it was just hunky-dory, everything was fine. Yeah, they had their little bickerings occasionally. Whose turn is it to clean out the dishwasher? But theirs was a rock-solid marriage.
So there was something else the police began to focus on. The Newlander's daughter, Rebecca, lived out of town and talked with her mom every day. She told the police about 2 strange conversations she had with her mother. The first happened 2 weeks before Carol's murder.
Carol pulled up to her driveway after working late at Classic Cakes when a total stranger tapped on her window, rolled the window down, said that the rabbi had sent him over to deliver some mail, and he handed Carol an envelope. And then he asked if he could use the bathroom. Carol said, of course, and she let him into the house. He used the bathroom. He left. And shortly after that, Carol's daughter, Rebecca, called. She said, Mom, what are you doing tonight? Oh, I just got home. Somebody came to see Daddy. He isn't there. But he gave me something, mail that Daddy had been waiting for. And Carol told Rebecca, what's the strange thing is that I opened this envelope, it wasn't sealed, and there wasn't anything in it. Well, neither Carol nor Rebecca knew what to make of that.
It was pretty weird. And 2 weeks later, on the day of Carol's murder, they were on the phone again when the mysterious man returned.
Carol opens the door, and Rebecca wants to know who it is. And she says, oh, that's the bathroom man from last week. Rebecca says, well, what does he want? He says, oh, Dad told him to come over. And Carol looks out. She sees that the bathroom man is with somebody else. It's cold. She encourages both of them to come in, be warm. Rebecca's very concerned that her mother is inviting these two essential strangers into the house. Carol says there's nothing to worry about. The door is closed, and that was the last that anyone in Carol's family heard from her.
Detectives asked Rabbi Newlander if he knew who this mysterious visitor was.
He claimed to have no idea what the police were talking about. He had never sent anybody over to the house with a message for him. He had never told Carol that somebody would be coming either of those evenings.
Detectives came to believe the bathroom man and his accomplice knew the rabbi's schedule and had been casing the house in order to rob and murder Carol.
Fred very soon was telling people the Colombians did this to Carol. The Colombians who worked at Classic Cakes and knew that Carol came home with wads of cash. That never panned out. There were rumors that the Russian Jewish mafia was behind this. So there was theory after theory after theory.
Rabbi Newlander told detectives he was at Makor Shalom when Carol was murdered. They interviewed a dozen or so people at the synagogue, and his alibi checked out.
Yes, he was at the temple, in fact, the moment that Carol was killed. And that's why when he came back home, the blood in the living room was still very, very fresh.
This put detectives back at square one. So the weeks dragged on without any updates about the investigation, until finally, just a couple days before the Christmas holiday, the police called a press conference. But the Newlanders were nowhere to be found. One reporter asked the prosecutor if Rabbi Newlander was considered a suspect. He paused for a moment and said, "We don't rule in, we don't rule out."
They didn't know what to make of that.
Well, Rabbi Newlander did. He was furious. He had an alibi and questioned why the police hadn't cleared him. So he hired a PI named Len Genoff with an impressive resume that included a stint with the FBI and CIA.
Genoff seemed like the right person to turn to.
Rabbi Newlander knew Len Genoff. He met him a couple years earlier and helped him turn his life around.
Leonard Genoff was a difficult person to define.
Back in the 1980s, Len Genoff accidentally struck and killed someone who was pushing their stalled vehicle on the highway. Although Genoff was never charged, he fell into a deep depression and turned to booze. Years later, he was introduced to Rabbi Newlander, who offered to help him get back on his feet.
Len Genoff left Fred Newlander's office that day, fully committed to doing almost anything that Fred wanted him to do, because he saw the rabbi as his savior, as the next best thing to his Messiah.
So now you had the police and a very motivated Len Genoff working to find Carol Newlander's killer. Those investigations would uncover secrets that would shake Cherry Hill to its soul.
In the middle of the night, Saskia awoke in a haze. Her husband, Mike, was on his laptop. What was on his screen would change Saskia's life forever.
I said, I need you to tell me exactly what you're doing. And immediately, the mask came off.
You're supposed to be safe. That's your home. That's your husband.
To keep this secret for so many years, he's like a seasoned pro.
This is a story about the end of a marriage, but it's also the story of one woman who was done living in the dark.
You're a dangerous person who preys on vulnerable and trusting people. You're a predator, Michael Levingood.
Listen to Betrayal Season 5 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What if mind control is real?
If you could control the behavior of anybody around you, what kind of life would you have?
Can you hypnotically persuade someone to buy a car?
When you look at your car, you're going to become overwhelmed with such good feelings.
Can you hypnotize someone into sleeping with you?
I gave her some suggestions to be sexually aroused.
Can you get someone to join your cult?
NLP was used on me to access my subconscious.
NLP, aka Neuro-Linguistic Programming, is a blend of hypnosis, linguistics, and psychology. Fans say it's like finally getting a user manual for your brain.
It's about engineering consciousness.
Mind Games is the story of NLP. Its crazy cast of disciples and the fake doctor who invented it at a New Age commune and sold it to guys in suits. He stood trial for murder and got acquitted. The biggest mind game of all? NLP might actually work.
This is wild.
Listen to Mind Games on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey there, this is Dr. Jesse Mills, director of the men's clinic at UCLA Health and host of the Mailroom podcast. Each January, guys everywhere make the same resolutions. Get stronger, work harder, fix what's broken. But what if the real work isn't physical at all? To kick off the new year, I sat down with Dr. Steve Poulter, a psychologist with over 30 years' experience helping men unpack shame, anxiety, and emotional pain they were never taught to name. In a powerful two-part conversation, we discuss why men aren't emotionally bulletproof, why shame hides in plain sight, and how real strength comes from listening to yourself and to others.
Guys who are toxic, they're immature, or they've got something they just haven't resolved. Once that gets resolved, then there comes empathy and some compassion.
If you want this to be the year you stop powering through pain and start understanding what's underneath, listen to The Mailroom on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows.
Rabbi Fred Newlander had a rock-solid alibi on the night of his wife Carol's murder. So why didn't the police rule him out as a suspect?
For years, there were rumors that Fred was a little bit too much of a ladies' man.
Arthur Magida wrote a book about the Newlanders.
He made a habit of going from woman to woman to woman and touching her and giving them compliments. And they always just happened to be the prettiest women in the congregation that evening.
So it turned out the leader of the community was not so pious. And back in 1992, one particular woman caught Rabbi Fred Newlander's eye.
Don't let the broadcaster see that I have all this makeup over here. It's filming it for convention. When is the convention? September? Oh, thanks a lot. Here, let me hide my mirror.
Elaine Zinsini was a prominent radio personality in Philadelphia. And so was her husband, Ken Garland. Elaine met Rabbi Newlander when her husband Ken was dying of leukemia.
And a day or two after that, Fred Newlander called Elaine Zinsini, asked how she was. She said, I'm fine, I'm coping. Fred asked if he could come over to her house. She agreed. They had lunch together. He asked if he could return soon. She said he could. And they engaged in what the police would soon call intimacy.
He moves in on a widow a couple days after her husband's death. And then, despite Rabbi Newlander's 18-hour workday and Elaine's early morning radio schedule, the two managed to carry on an affair for nearly 2 years.
They would meet at Elaine's house 2, 3, 4 times a week. Fred often told her that she satisfied him sexually in a way that Carol never did. He alluded to the possibility that he might get divorced from Carol for Elaine. But sometimes he would hedge on that because he wasn't certain how that would affect his career.
So with all this secrecy, how did detectives learn about Elaine? Well, they obtained a copy of Rabbi Newlander's phone records. And something in those phone records from the morning after Carol's murder stood out.
One of the first people Fred called was Elaine Zinsini. Why would he possibly do that?
Detectives questioned Elaine, and they shared some information she did not know about Fred Newlander.
She's not the only girlfriend that Fred had. And they named the others 1, 2, 3, and perhaps 4.
Elaine was shocked and pissed, And that's when the gloves came off.
She tells the police they've had a long-standing romance. When she returns home that night, she calls Fred and says, "Fred, I told the police everything. You're on your own now."
News of Rabbi Newlander's affairs rocked Cherry Hill and McCourt Shalom. These were women he had been counseling.
How could Fred Newlander, the stalwart of the community, the founder of McCourt Shalom, this charismatic, well-educated, enlightened individual who had this wonderful family and terrific wife, be playing around on the side? Who could possibly have time to do that anyway? It seems that Fred Newlander did.
Fred admitted to behaviors he was not proud of and stepped away from McCourt Shalom. In his letter to his congregants, he added that he had nothing to do with his wife's death. It was the same message he gave Elaine Sonsini in the days after Carol's murder. Being an adulterer didn't make him a murderer.
Fred invited Elaine into his office at the temple and said he loves her, said he wanted to marry her when the time would be appropriate.
The police didn't confirm or deny Elaine as a suspect in Carol Newlander's murder. It was much like the situation with the rabbi.
After one's spouse is murdered, the surviving spouse always becomes the first suspect.
Attorney Jeff Zucker represented Rabbi Newlander. His client had a lot of explaining to do. Here's Jeff Zucker.
And once things started to come out about the affairs that he had, and the fact that the affairs involved congregants that he was counseling, then I think the tide started to change.
And as you can imagine, the local press was having a field day with stories of the adulterous man of God.
We thought the media attention was so horribly profuse and horribly against him.
As reporters hounded the rabbi and Elaine Sonsini for comment, Elaine asked the Cherry Hill Police Department for protection. 2 officers were then dispatched to keep an eye on her.
The interesting thing about Elaine Sonsini is that she also had an involvement with one of the police officers in this case, Larry Leaf.
Okay, so get this. Larry Leaf was one of the officers assigned to watch her. And in another twist to this story, Elaine and Officer Leaf became romantically involved. And that created a serious conflict of interest, especially when he was caught rummaging through police files related to the case.
We believe that Larry Leaf gave her access to certain of the investigative files at the Cherry Hill Police Department. Elaine Sonsini, she incidentally ended up marrying Larry Leaf.
So Internal Affairs investigated Officer Leaf and later cleared him of any wrongdoing.
That was another strange twist in this whole case. This is one of the most bizarre cases I've been involved in my 45 years of legal experience.
With reporters constantly hounding her, Elaine Sonsini used her radio show to come clean about her affair with Rabbi Newlander. In the summer of 1995, she tearfully apologized on the air for what she called some errors in judgment.
Sunny now and 78 degrees. I apologize to you for these guys.
But lost in the juicy stories of love, lust, and adultery were the Newlander children.
I felt bad for the family. I did. I felt bad for the kids.
Their mother's murder was still unsolved. And the only thing they're hearing is story after story of their father's infidelity.
Every day something else would come out in the local papers because of the horrible negative publicity he was getting. We thought it was time for him to speak out to say, I had nothing to do with this. So we called in the local television stations, let him read a prepared statement.
I categorically deny that I murdered my wife or arranged in any way to have her killed.
It was brief, but we thought it would be good for the public to hear him speak and to have him deny the charges.
The town of Cherry Hill struggled with their beloved rabbi's meteoric fall from grace. First, they had to process news of his affairs, and now there are rumbles about him also being a murderer.
A person who is Having an affair may be morally at fault, but it's a huge jump from someone having an affair to become a murderer.
And it didn't help that the police remained mum about potential suspects and shared very little about their investigation.
They were looking into leads for years, and they came up with a bunch of dead ends.
At the same time, the rabbi's private investigator, Len Genoff, used his FBI and CIA background to do his own research.
He one time came into our office with a sketch of what he said was a composite drawing of who the person who killed Carol Newlander would be. And we told the rabbi, please have nothing more to do with Len Genoff. He's a wild card. He's running up all kinds of blind alleys and making no sense. If you're going to continue working with this guy, we can't represent you anymore. You can't do it.
That's because around that time, some bizarre news about Len Genoff surfaced.
Len got married and asked the rabbi to perform the ceremony at the rabbi's home.
And there are wedding pictures of them arm in arm holding each other.
That seems nice. But when the police looked closely at these pictures of the rabbi with Len on his wedding day, they noticed something shocking.
Like, oh my God, they took the pictures right where Carol was laying when she was murdered.
The ceremony was performed at the exact spot where they found Carol Newlander's body. It's bizarre, but that's where it was, which was also another very strange twist in this whole case.
If a picture is worth 1,000 words, well, that saying doesn't work here, because this one left the police speechless.
It was hard for me to believe that this really could have happened.
That was the first twist of many to come. In part 2 of Who Killed Carol, the police get an unexpected confession from someone no one suspected. I'm Sloan Glass. That's next time on American Homicide. Cherry Hill, New Jersey police officer Richard Bombear investigated the 1994 murder of Carol Newlander. She was the wife of esteemed rabbi Fred Newlander.
And in going through the case, I came across a photograph, and it was Fred and Len Genoff standing with their arms around each other.
Len Genoff was a private investigator the rabbi hired to find his wife's murderer.
After Carol's death, he actually married Len Genoff in the same room that Carol was murdered in. And there are wedding pictures of them arm in arm, Fred and Genoff, right where Carol was laying when she was murdered.
How could Rabbi Newlander celebrate marriage in the same room his wife was murdered? And why?
It was really bizarre.
We're in Cherry Hill, New Jersey today for part 2 of Who Killed Carol. I'm Sloan Glass, and this is American Homicide. And just a note that this episode contains some graphic content. Please take care while listening. Cherry Hill lives up to its name every April. That's when a 2-mile stretch of road through the town transforms into a sea of pink and white as the cherry blossoms bloom.
It's a nice area to live in, nice area to raise your family.
Richard Bombear worked as a Cherry Hill police officer in the 90s. Back then, and even today, Cherry Hill was your quintessential middle-class suburb with sprawling subdivisions and a huge shopping mall.
It was considered a safe town to live in, one where you wouldn't lock your doors.
So you can imagine their shock following the 1994 murder of Carol Newlander.
The community was just terrified. They didn't know what happened, if it was a random act of violence and somebody tried to rob Carol and take her money and kill her, to whether it was thought out or planned.
It was Cherry Hill's first homicide in years, and the victim, Carol Newlander, was a respected mother of 3 who ran a popular bakery, which is why she often had a lot of cash on her. She and her husband, Rabbi Fred Newlander, were like royalty in South Jersey.
No one in a million years thought that Fred Newlander a prominent rabbi in the community at the time was a suspect or had any involvement with it.
Absolutely no one could make sense of why Rabbi Newlander would officiate a wedding in the very spot where his wife was murdered.
When Fred Newlander became a person of interest, it was devastating to the community. People started questioning their religion. People started questioning everything about them, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
Len Genoff's wedding happened in 1997, about 3 years after Carol's murder. And if that wasn't disturbing enough, their reception inside the Newlanders' home featured a cake from Classic Cakes, the bakery Carol had founded.
Even if you had no involvement at all, none at all, not only are you going to probably sell the house and get out of it, but you're not going to marry somebody and take pictures right where your wife was laying when she was murdered. That's pretty tasteless.
Absolutely. It is tasteless. And suspicious. The rabbi was never named a suspect, but also never cleared. He had an alibi, but it was overshadowed by news of his multiple affairs. And then there was a controversial polygraph test.
Sometime after the murder, Fred's lawyer took him from Cherry Hill down to Virginia to have a lie detector test.
Arthur Magida wrote a book about the Newlander murder.
Fred was asked if he killed Carol. The needles on the machine were fine, nothing abnormal. Fred was asked if he had anything to do with Carol's murder. At that point, the needles went crazy and wavered back and forth.
The rabbi's lawyer said Fred was under a great deal of stress at the time and was on medication.
Polygraph experts have said that makes no difference. Either you're telling the truth or you're not telling the truth.
About a month after Len Genoff's wedding inside the Newlanders' home, prosecutors made a curious move. They impaneled an investigative grand jury to see if there was enough evidence to charge Rabbi Newlander. More than a dozen witnesses were called to testify, including his children, the rabbi's mistress, Elaine Sonsini, and Len Genoff. The rabbi was never called to testify. And while this was going on, he told reporters he had nothing to do with Carol's murder.
He invited a woman, I think from Philadelphia Magazine, into his home, and his first words to her were, "Yes, I'm Fred Newlander. I'm the man you love to hate."
The grand jury met for nearly a year before things for the self-described man you love to hate took a drastic turn. Early one morning, the police performed a traffic stop of Rabbi Newlander just a few blocks from his home. They ordered him out of his car, and then they handcuffed him and placed him under arrest. They charged him with orchestrating the murder of his wife.
Everybody was stunned. How could this possibly be?
The prosecutor claimed Rabbi Newlander wanted so desperately out of his marriage that he hired a hitman to kill his wife so that he could continue his affair with his mistress, Elaine Sonsini. The prosecutor did not identify who the hitman was.
When there's a murder, and there's a husband, and as the police would very quickly discover, this was a very unfaithful husband. It's the husband who automatically becomes a suspect until vindicated.
It's not as if the Jewish religion forbids divorce. There are plenty of divorced rabbis. Rabbi Newlander said that's why this theory did not make any sense. He again denied the charges, and his private detective, Len Genoff, defended him to reporters.
I still believe that my client has had absolutely nothing to do with the horrendous murder of his wife.
Len Genoff defended the rabbi throughout his investigation. And while the rabbi awaited his trial, Len sort of became the rabbi's spokesperson.
I think Len wanted to be a more important person than he was in life.
Frank Hartman was Len Genoff's attorney.
That was a very, very important thing in Leonard Genoff's life, the rabbi. Whenever I saw him, he always wanted to talk to me about the rabbi.
Len and the rabbi had a curious relationship. It was almost like father and son. And Len so desperately wanted the rabbi's approval and attention.
He wanted to please the rabbi. He was very perturbed about the fact that he had never been bar mitzvahed. The rabbi told him that was not important. If it was really important to him, he'd have a private ceremony for him. And he encouraged the rabbi, and encouraged him, which is how I think he ultimately became so dependent upon the rabbi.
For the next 18 months, Len, the former FBI and CIA agent, continued his own investigation to help clear the rabbi. He even met with a local reporter to exchange notes and discuss the case.
And she managed to worm her way into his confidence, mostly because she was trying to get information about the rabbi.
In the spring of 2000, 6 years after the murder, Len Genoff called this reporter with a scoop. They later met at a Jersey diner and were joined by 2 investigators working the case. Everyone went into this meeting not knowing what to expect. But picture this: 4 people sitting in the back of a New Jersey diner, drinking coffee after coffee and chain-smoking cigarettes, waiting to hear a scoop on an unsolved murder investigation. And what happened in the end was the absolute last thing anyone expected. Len Genoff, the private investigator Rabbi Newlander hired to find his wife's killer, confessed to killing Carol Newlander. Len said he was paid $30,000 to kill Carol. And the person who hired him to do it? Rabbi Fred Newlander.
I think this murder weighed heavily on his conscience, and I think he wanted to unburden himself. Len did it for the rabbi. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Len was completely under the sway of the rabbi. It didn't shock me to find that he was willing to consider doing something as serious as murder. Len wanted to be important, and the rabbi's attention made him feel important. I think that whenever the rabbi made up his mind that he wanted someone to commit a murder for him, this was a person who was certainly among the nominees, because the rabbi could exercise influence over him in so many different ways.
The plan was for Len Genoff to kill Carol, but Len brought an accomplice.
Len brought a friend along with him, a young man who was, I think, mentally challenged.
Well, that young man was his roommate, Paul Michael Daniels, who suffered from drug addiction and schizophrenia.
The young man struck her with a piece of pipe and said to him, "You have to do this too. It's not just me." So that's when Len actually struck a blow to the lady. And then they realized that her purse was there and that she had considerable money in it because it was the day's proceeds from her bakery shop. So to make it look like it was a robbery, they took the money and left.
So how did they even get into the house? Well, it turns out Carol opened the front door. Len Genoff had showed up at the house with an envelope for her husband. Genoff was actually there to kill her. But he couldn't find her purse, and the plan was to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. So he pretended to use the bathroom, and then he left. 2 weeks later, he returned with his accomplice and claimed he killed Carol.
They had a very good case against the rabbi and that he was in a lot of trouble.
Even with Len Genoff's confession, Rabbi Newlander denied being involved with the murder.
The defense of the rabbi was that, oh no, he did this on his own, he's only trying to incriminate me. But nevertheless, he did it. And generally speaking, in the law, the person who hires someone for murder is more culpable than the actual murderer.
In the summer of 2000, Len Genoff and his roommate pled guilty to aggravated manslaughter, and they made a deal with prosecutors to testify against the rabbi in exchange for a lighter sentence.
This is the person who could really nail the case down and fill in the dots, as they say.
Len Genoff would be the prosecution's star witness against Rabbi Newlander. The former CIA and FBI agent was about to embark on his toughest assignment yet.
In the middle of the night, Saskia awoke in a haze. Her husband Mike was on his laptop. What was on his screen would change Saskia's life forever.
I said, I need you to tell me exactly what you're doing. And immediately, the mask came off.
You're supposed to be safe. That's your home. That's your husband.
To keep this secret for so many years, he's like a seasoned pro.
This is a story about the end of a marriage, but it's also the story of one woman who was done living in the dark.
You're a dangerous person who preys on vulnerable and trusting people. You're a predator, Michael Levingood.
Listen to Betrayal Season 5 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What if mind control is real?
If you could control the behavior of anybody around you, what kind of life would you have?
Can you hypnotically persuade someone to buy a car?
When you look at your car, you're going to become overwhelmed with such good feelings.
Can you hypnotize someone into sleeping with you?
I gave her some suggestions to be sexually aroused.
Can you get someone to join your cult?
NLP was used on me to access my subconscious.
NLP, aka Neuro-Linguistic Programming, is a blend of hypnosis, linguistics, and psychology. Fans say it's like finally getting a user manual for your brain.
It's about engineering consciousness.
Mind Games is the story of NLP. Its crazy cast of disciples and the fake doctor who invented it at a New Age commune and sold it to guys in suits. He stood trial for murder and got acquitted. The biggest mind game of all? NLP might actually work.
This is wild.
Listen to Mind Games on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey there, this is Dr. Jesse Mills, director of the men's clinic at UCLA Health and host of the Mailroom podcast. Each January, guys everywhere make the same resolutions. Get stronger, work harder, fix what's broken. But what if the real work isn't physical at all? To kick off the new year, I sat down with Dr. Steve Poulter, a psychologist with over 30 years' experience helping men unpack shame, anxiety, and emotional pain they were never taught to name. In a powerful two-part conversation, we discuss why men aren't emotionally bulletproof, why shame hides in plain sight, and how real strength comes from listening to yourself and to others.
Guys who are toxic, they're immature, or they've got something they just haven't resolved. Once that gets resolved, then there comes empathy and some compassion.
If you want this to be the year you stop powering through pain and start understanding what's underneath, listen to The Mailroom on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows.
After years of denying he had anything to do with his wife's murder, a grand jury indicted Rabbi Fred Newlander for conspiracy to commit murder. Those charges grew to capital murder following the confession of his former private eye, Len Genoff.
At the time, he was facing the death penalty.
Jeff Zucker was one of Rabbi Newlander's attorneys.
You can't have any more pressure than that put on you.
When the trial opened in late 2001, prosecutor James Lynch told the jury that the adulterous rabbi wanted Carol murdered so he could continue to be with his mistress.
This is a man overwhelmed by lust, greed, arrogance, and betrayal. And as a result of those qualities and those characteristics, he involved himself in the murder of his wife. He planned it, he plotted it, he paid money for it to be carried out.
The rabbi's defense denied that motion.
He could have gotten a divorce. It would be a huge jump from wanting to leave one's wife to becoming a murderer.
Jurors first heard about the rabbi's years of adultery. One congregant from Makor Shalom testified that she and the rabbi slept together for months. In fact, their affair overlapped with the rabbi's affair with Elaine Sonsini.
Elaine Sonsini, she was a radio personality who had an affair with Rabbi Newlander.
We started seeing each other, I would say, every 2 to 3 weeks in the beginning. And after that, we saw each other just about every day.
Elaine talked about her personal life on the radio, but that didn't compare to sharing those intimate details on the witness stand.
We had relations in his office. He told me that I was the most special woman that he had ever met.
The rabbi was certainly a smooth operator and manipulator. He shared a dream with Elaine about how violence was coming Carol's way.
There was one conversation where he said to me that he just wished that she were gone. Poof, gone. I wish her car would go into the river.
After months of being the other woman, Elaine decided in the summer of 1994 that she wanted more or no more.
I said, Fred, I don't want to see you after December. I want to start my new life, January 1st, 1995. And he would say, please, hang in. Trust me, we're going to be together by your birthday.
Elaine's birthday was in December, and Carol Newlander was murdered the month before.
And what I said was, whatever you decide is fine. I support you 150%.
Elaine and the rabbi slept together nearly every day, including the day Carol was murdered. That night, Elaine was asleep by 8 p.m. and learned of Carol's murder the following morning.
He called me at work, and he said that he was all right, that he was at the police station all night, and that Carol had been killed and something about a burglary, and he just asked me if I was frightened. And I said, no. Why, frightened of what? And he said, are you frightened of anything? And I said, no.
It was a strange conversation. Still, Elaine and the rabbi slept together a few more times after Carol's death, until she asked him to stop contacting her. Instead, he sent her cards and letters. Some of those were used as evidence in the trial.
Elaine, what you and I discovered and have comes once in a lifetime. It is a gift. God permits so infrequently. I need you to know that I will not, because I cannot, love another. Of course, I will always love you. Of course, you will always love me. I will pay any price, wait any time to keep my promise.
The prosecution argued that promise was that the two would be together.
After Carol Newlander died, Fred said, I told you to trust me. When God closes a door, he opens a window. I was afraid that even though I chose to believe that Fred Newlander was not involved in the murder of his wife, that there was that possibility. I dishonored his wife in life, and I was not going to dishonor her in death.
The rabbi's defense team wasn't having any of that. They quickly fought back and tried to discredit her.
And would you describe yourself, Miss Sonsini, as the type of a woman who has low moral standards, or who had low moral standards at that time?
Looking back on it now, yes.
And didn't you have very real concerns that you yourself may have been considered a suspect because you were the other woman?
I was having a 2-year relationship with a married man, and his wife was murdered.
Well, were you afraid that Fred Newlander was going to kill you?
I was afraid that Fred Newlander might kill me, as a matter of fact, because I didn't know what had occurred the night of the murder, and I didn't know where I was in this relationship. All I knew is somehow I'm involved too.
Then the defense went for it. They questioned how Elaine went from sleeping with the rabbi to marrying Cherry Hill police officer Larry Leaf.
Isn't it a fact, Mrs. Leaf, that your now husband, Larry Leaf, was seen going through the files of the Newlander investigation in the confines of the Cherry Hill Police Department?
All Larry told me was that he wanted to read my statement to see if I was involved, if he was getting involved with a bad woman.
After a full day's worth of testimony about the rabbi's adultery, the prosecution then moved on to the rabbi's plan to get rid of Carol. And it started with someone named Pepe Levin.
Pepe Levin was somebody that the rabbi used to play racquetball with.
According to the testimony you're about to hear, a few months before Carol's murder, the rabbi approached him.
He says, I wish I can get rid of my wife, have her killed on the ground when I go home someday. He says, do you know anybody? I said, get the out of my head, you crazy. I said, you're nuts. I said, you're nuts, stay away from it. You got a lovely wife, stick with it.
But the defense said that Pepe couldn't be trusted. He had a shady past that included time in federal prison for arson, conspiracy, and tax fraud charges.
He was a very colorful, strange, wild witness.
But perhaps the strangest, wildest, and most polarizing witness was the hitman who ultimately carried out Carol's murder, Len Genoff. He was the prosecution's star witness.
Len Genoff was a private investigator, a person who claimed to have been in the CIA, but he absolutely had many problems.
Yeah, it turned out his biggest problem was his credibility. This is kind of mind-blowing. After years of talking about his past, the defense learned that Len Genoff had never served in the CIA or the FBI.
Len Genoff was a pathological liar.
So was he telling the truth when he confessed to killing Carol? The prosecution's star witness had a lot of explaining to do, and it would all happen on the witness stand.
In the middle of the night, Saskia awoke in a haze. Her husband Mike was on his laptop. What was on his screen would change Saskia's life forever.
I said, I need you to tell me exactly what you're doing. And immediately, the mask came off.
You're supposed to be safe. That's your home. That's your husband.
To keep this secret for so many years, he's like a seasoned pro.
This is a story about the end of a marriage, but it's also the story of one woman who was done living in the dark.
You're a dangerous person who preys on vulnerable and trusting people. You're a predator, Michael Good.
Listen to Betrayal Season 5 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What if mind control is real?
If you could control the behavior of anybody around you, what kind of life would you have?
Can you hypnotically persuade someone to buy a car?
When you look at your car, you're going to become overwhelmed with such good feelings.
Can you hypnotize someone into sleeping with you?
I gave her some suggestions to be sexually aroused.
Can you get someone to join your cult?
NLP was used on me to access my subconscious.
NLP, aka Neuro-Linguistic Programming, is a blend of hypnosis, linguistics, and psychology. Fans say it's like finally getting a user manual for your brain.
It's about engineering consciousness.
Mind Games is the story of NLP. Its crazy cast of disciples and the fake doctor who invented it at a New Age commune and sold it to guys in suits. He stood trial for murder and got acquitted. The biggest mind game of all? NLP might actually work.
This is wild.
Listen to Mind Games on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey there, this is Dr. Jesse Mills, director of the Men's Clinic at UCLA Health and host of the Mailroom podcast. Each January, guys everywhere make the same resolutions. Get stronger, work harder, fix what's broken. But what if the real work isn't physical at all? To kick off the new year, I sat down with Dr. Steve Poulter, a psychologist with over 30 years' experience helping men unpack shame, anxiety, and emotional pain they were never taught to name. In a powerful two-part conversation, we discuss why men aren't emotionally bulletproof, why shame hides in plain sight, and how real strength comes from listening to yourself and to others.
Guys who are toxic, they're immature, or they've got something they just haven't resolved. Once that gets resolved, then there comes empathy and some compassion.
If you want this to be the year you stop powering through pain and start understanding what's underneath, listen to The Mailroom on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows.
Prosecutors portrayed Rabbi Fred Newlander as a womanizer who carried on multiple affairs and hired a hitman to kill his wife.
It was the darkest day of my life, sir. But I took that man's promise of $30,000. That was from Fred J. Newlander. And I killed his wife for that promise of $30,000.
That was Len Genoff's testimony. He and his roommate, Paul Michael Daniels, claimed to have murdered Carol Newlander on the evening of November 1st, 1994.
I pulled out the lead pipe, sir, and I whacked her in the back of the head. She started to stumble. And I heard the word, why? Why?
Those details were painful to hear, especially for Carol's relatives, who you can hear crying in the background as Len Genoff described killing and then robbing Carol.
Rabbi Newlander was adamant in telling me, only take the cash, whatever cash is in there. It could be $5, it could be $5,000, and throw the pocketbook away.
Len Genoff says he did what he was told to do. He disposed of the handbag and murder weapon in a dumpster near the Cherry Hill Mall. 2 days later, he had the audacity to attend Carol's memorial. That's where he saw the rabbi.
And then he kind of pulled me in for a hug, patted me on the back, and he whispered, everything will be all right now. She's dead.
Not only did Len Genoff attend Carol's funeral, but he returned to Rabbi Newlander's house a couple days later for the Shiva, the Jewish period of mourning.
And he hands me this manila envelope stuffed with cash. And he said, here's another down payment, $7,000 in cash.
The prosecution portrayed the rabbi as an arrogant and selfish adulterer who hired Len Genoff to kill his wife. But the defense said Len Genoff cannot be trusted.
Len Genoff was a person that we described as a pathological liar.
Jeff Zucker was one of Rabbi Newlander's lawyers who untangled Len Genoff's long string of lies.
We had so many things that we brought up to show that he had lied and lied and lied.
It's true. Len admitted to lying about being in the FBI and CIA. In fact, most of his resume was one giant lie. Most damning, Len admitted to lying to the grand jury.
Yes, I was trying to protect Rabbi Newlander and myself.
The defense said the only reason Genoff was testifying against the rabbi was to get a lighter sentence. And that was a pretty good argument.
He made a deal for himself, obviously, so that was part of the reason he was testifying.
But Len Genoff said he didn't act alone. He paid his roommate, Paul Michael Daniels, to help carry out the murder.
Did Mr. Genoff tell you that the money you got paid for the job came from Rabbi Newlander?
Yes.
He pled guilty to actually committing the murder.
Paul Michael Daniels was just 20 years old at the time of Carol's murder, and like Genoff, his time on the witness stand wasn't smooth.
Couldn't remember a lot of what happened. He basically said he just went along, I think, with what Genoff told him to do, but he really had mental problems.
Paul Michael Daniels was bipolar and suffered from schizophrenia and paranoia.
Claims that Genoff got him to go to the house to kill Carol Newlander.
Now, if you were a juror listening to this crazy case, you probably wouldn't know who or what to believe at this point, which is why the decision to put Rabbi Newlander on the witness stand was so important.
Rabbi Newlander was a tremendous orator when he spoke in the synagogue. He was the type of person who could really keep your attention and draw you in.
Delivering a sermon, well, that's one thing. A holy man answering questions about his numerous affairs and an open marriage is another.
We made a decision that if there were needs that could not be supplied between the two of us, then we would go outside the marriage.
His character was certainly called in question because of his infidelity.
The prosecutor was right. I was selfish and arrogant, and I went beyond the bounds of marriage. And I betrayed Carol, I betrayed family, I betrayed community, I betrayed my synagogue, I betrayed my profession. But divorce was never an issue.
Now, as you got into the fall of 1994, in relation to Miss Sonsini, did she make, if you recall, further references to the fact that she wished the affair to end?
Yeah, she, repeated that at the end of the year, she would have to create a new life for herself.
Did you ever tell her to trust you that something would happen?
No.
Did you ever say anything about anything happening so that you could be together with her on her birthday?
No, I didn't.
Did you ever say something to Miss Sonsini as expressed in her testimony concerning your wishes regarding Carol, which was proof Carol's gone?
No.
He also denied the conversation with his racquetball buddy, Pepe Levin, about wanting Carol dead.
Never occurred. I wouldn't tell Pepe if I, twisted my finger. He was not a confidant. He just knew who Carol was. We had socialized, and that's all.
As for Len Genoff, the rabbi said he never even hired him to investigate Carol's murder. It was Len who offered his services.
Did you ever agree with Mr. Genoff that you wanted to have your wife killed and that you wanted him to do it for money?
No.
Did you ever want a divorce ever from your wife for Elaine Sonsini or any other woman?
No.
As you sit there today, sir, are you guilty or innocent?
I'm innocent.
Well, it wasn't surprising the rabbi held his own while answering questions from his own lawyers. But things changed during cross-examination. The prosecution played sultry voicemails the rabbi left Elaine Sonsini, saying he truly loved her and needed her, which left the rabbi blushing.
I simply wanted the relationship to continue. And I can't categorize why I said what I said.
And if Len Genoff lied about his past, why didn't the rabbi do a better job vetting him?
Didn't you want to get the very best person you could find to investigate the murder of your wife?
Yes, I did.
Was Leonard Genoff the very best person you could find to do that investigation?
I didn't know.
How carefully did you look, sir? How many investigators did you talk to in picking out Mr. Genoff? How many people did you go through to get?
I didn't investigate any other.
Didn't talk to anybody else?
Nope.
But something else Fred Newlander did on the witness stand even bugged his own lawyer.
What bothered me the most when we questioned him, or when the prosecutor questioned him about coming home and seeing his wife on the floor, instead of describing his wife as Carol, he said, "I saw the body on the floor."
Hours after you found your wife, you referred to her as the body, correct?
Correct.
It just came across to me as being too cold.
Here's something else that was cold. The rabbi found his wife bloodied and beaten in their home, and he didn't touch her. He didn't put her in his arms. He didn't comfort her.
That's right. I stayed away. I saw her, and I couldn't deal with it.
If a person comes in and sees their wife bloodied on the floor, my response, I would hope, would be to run over to my wife and hold her and see how she is. But there can't be a typical response to that, which is what we argued to the jury. Nobody could possibly know that unless they were put in that position.
Okay, that's definitely true. But then came the question that had lingered from the night of his wife's murder. Why did Fred Newlander appear so aloof?
All I can tell you is that I know how I grieve. I usually have an private experience of crying and then quickly gather it together.
Then the rabbi talked himself into trouble. He first said he loved Elaine Sonsini and even wrote her a letter that said so. But the next day on the witness stand, he changed his testimony.
Yes, I can say I didn't love her.
You told the jury yesterday that you did love her, correct?
I never had any intention of continuing a relationship with her. I wanted to maintain whatever relationship we had.
You weren't lying to this jury yesterday, were you, sir?
I gave the wrong impression. I used the wrong words.
He did not come across as a good witness. He did not come across as a credible witness, in my opinion. The key really was Genoff. I was hoping for jurors that could see through Len Genoff because he was the cornerstone of their case.
The defense knew that Len Genoff also didn't come across as honest, so they presented one final surprise witness, a man who knew Len Genoff from AA meetings. Now, the second word in AA is anonymous. So this witness broke the pledge of anonymity and testified that, while incarcerated, Len Genoff was working on either a book or movie deal. But that deal wouldn't happen unless Rabbi Newlander was found guilty. So what's really going on here? Was Fred Newlander responsible for the death of his wife?
This is a man of God who acted in a thoroughly ungodly fashion.
Or was Rabbi Newlander's self-purported hitman a liar trying to secure a movie deal?
There's nothing real about this man. He's a liar.
I'm Sloan Glass. The case against Fred Newlander is about to get a whole lot more complicated.
I understand from your note that you have reached a verdict.
Yes, we have.
And we'll hear the surprising conclusion in part 3 of Who Killed Carol. That's next time on American Homicide. Rabbi Fred Newlander was on trial for the murder of his wife, Carol Newlander. He's accused of hiring Len Genoff as his hitman. As the trial came to its climax, Rabbi Fred Newlander decided to take the stand in his own defense.
Fred had virtually hung himself when he took the stand. He was his own worst witness.
But the prosecution struggled with their own star witness, Len Genoff.
To convict this man, you have to believe what Len Genoff told you was the truth.
Having him take the stand was very risky by the prosecution. And the defense did a great job of attempting to shred Genoff to pieces.
The whole case boiled down to who was more credible, the adulterous holy man or the lying hitman. We are in South Jersey today for the conclusion of Who Killed Carol. I'm Sloan Glass, and this is American Homicide. Just a note that this episode contains some graphic content. Please take care while listening. After 3.5 weeks of heated testimony, the case of Rabbi Fred Newlander went to the jury. At the same time, a curious book debuted in bookstores titled Keep Your Mouth Shut and Your Arms Open. The book explored how to be a good rabbi and was written by Fred Newlander. By the way, I looked, and that book is still available online.
Counsel, we've received a note from the jury.
On the 7th day of deliberations, Judge Baxter received a handwritten note from the jury's foreman.
It reads as follows. Your Honor, after revisiting evidence and testimony, we, the jury, have concluded that a unanimous decision on all 3 counts is not possible. On that note, I am going to declare a mistrial.
I was stunned. Everybody was stunned. How could this possibly be?
Arthur Magida, who wrote extensively about this case, was sitting with Carol's family when Judge Baxter called a mistrial.
I did not want to turn around. I did not want to look in their faces. How dare they let him go out on the street? And they did. I know what I felt, and I know what I thought, and it had to have been just a fraction of their emotions.
Judge Baxter ordered a retrial for Rabbi Newlander. This time, the trial would head about an hour north of Cherry Hill to Freehold, New Jersey. Freehold is where Bruce Springsteen grew up and even sang about it in his 1985 song, My Hometown. The reason Judge Baxter moved the trial was to find an impartial jury.
It was difficult finding a jury because this case had been so well publicized.
Magida was among the dozens of journalists who packed the tiny courtroom.
There were reporters, there were cameras. It was a madhouse. It was a frenzy.
Just like the first trial, the rabbi's retrial was aired from start to finish on Court TV. This allowed people from all over the country to play armchair juror and debate the guilt or innocence of Rabbi Fred Newlander. But back in Cherry Hill, most had already made up their minds.
A majority of the residents of Cherry Hill of South Jersey, majority of the congregants in McCourt Shalom, believed that Fred Newlander had a hand, somehow, in killing Carol.
In the first trial, jurors heard from Rabbi Newlander's mistress and 4 witnesses who said the rabbi wanted his wife dead. 3 of the 12 jurors didn't believe the state proved its case beyond a reasonable doubt, which resulted in a hung jury.
I could not believe that so much evidence against the rabbi was eliminated, discarded, disgraced by the jury.
In late 2002, most of the players from the first trial returned for the retrial. including the prosecutor, James Lynch.
You're going to hear that Fred Newlander, the rabbi, was a man of God who acted in a thoroughly ungodly fashion.
A year had passed between trials, and Rabbi Fred Newlander appeared much thinner and his gray hair shorter. He also had a new lawyer named Michael Riley.
Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. There is no evidence of Mr. Newlander's involvement in this case unless you listen to the words from the mouth of Len Genoff. There is nothing. There's nothing physical. There's no business records. There's no bank records. There is nothing except the mouth of Len Genoff.
Just like in the first trial, the defense said Len Genoff could not be trusted. And frankly, from everything we've learned so far, Len was not credible or trustworthy.
Len Genoff's life is nothing but lies. He even, in an effort to support this belief that he is a CIA agent, had a picture of Ronald Reagan, ostensibly autographed, "Dear Lenny," from Ronnie.
Many said the handwriting on that photo looked more like Len Genoff's than Ronald Reagan's.
There's nothing real about this man. He's a liar.
The defense argued it was Len Genoff who came up with the plan to rob and murder Carol Newlander.
Len Genoff became aware that she would take large sums of money home from her cake company. Len Genoff went to the Newlander house that night to kill her and steal her money.
The defense also suggested the rabbi's ex-mistress, Elaine Sonsini, had framed him.
Does she have a reason to be angry at this person who betrayed her too? He was seeing other women. He was not cheating on his wife. He was cheating on his girlfriend.
Just like the first trial, jurors heard testimony from Elaine Sonsini, Pepe Levin, Len Genoff, and Paul Michael Daniels. Their testimony was nearly identical to the first trial, except for one witness, the rabbi's son, Matthew. By then, Matthew was a doctor, and the prosecutor referred to him by his title, Dr. Newlander. Back on the night of his mother's murder, Matthew was working as an EMT. In fact, he was one of the first responders to his mother's murder at their home. I bring that up because of how Matthew's testimony began. Listen closely to his testimony as he describes arriving at his house.
There were two large guys, and they physically grabbed me and brought me back down the driveway to where I finally saw Fred.
Did you catch that? It was so subtle that you may have missed it. But Dr. Matthew Newlander referred to his father as Fred. That testimony caused Fred Newlander to immediately whisper into his lawyer's ear and ask, "Why is he calling me Fred?" But calling his father Fred was just the beginning.
When I first saw him, he looked kind of the way he looks right now, sort of blank and unemotional. He said nothing to me. He wasn't breathing heavily, wasn't crying or showing any outward sign of grief or remorse at all. He didn't have a drop of blood on his clothing.
Matthew didn't hold back about his father's lack of emotion or perceived lack of emotion over his mother's murder.
Never at any time did he show any signs outwardly of grief or remorse, and never in all the times that I've seen him in the years since has he ever cried, ever had a pleasant memory of her, or seemed to grieve or mourn her in any way.
What you're hearing is the one huge difference between the first and second trial. Dr. Matthew Newlander was no longer protecting his father.
I asked him, "Where's Mom? What happened? Is she okay? Is someone taking care of her?" His answers were really just one. He repeated over and over again, "Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay."
Matthew said he and his dad had had many conversations about the night of his mother's murder.
So he was repulsed by what he saw, too repulsed to go in to see if she was okay. I found my wife or child on the floor, right? I would want to go try to help. And you know what? If he couldn't help, fine. But at least you're there.
A couple of the jurors wiped away tears as Matthew struggled to choke back his own. Ironically, it was while talking about his dad's lack of emotion.
I would have given my right arm for 5 minutes just to sit there with her and hold her hand and tell her that I was there.
Matthew's heartbreaking testimony stunned the defense. But would it be enough to overshadow the jurors' doubts about Len Genoff?
In the middle of the night, Saskia awoke in a haze. Her husband Mike was on his laptop. What was on his screen would change Saskia's life forever.
I said, I need you to tell me exactly what you're doing. And immediately, the mask came off.
You're supposed to be safe. That's your home. That's your husband.
To keep this secret for so many years, he's like a seasoned pro.
This is a story about the end of a marriage, but it's also the story of one woman who was done living in the dark.
You're a dangerous person who preys on vulnerable and trusting people. You're a predator, Michael Good.
Listen to Betrayal Season 5 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What if mind control is real?
If you could control the behavior of anybody around you, what kind of life would you have?
Can you hypnotically persuade someone to buy a car?
When you look at your car, you're going to become overwhelmed with such good feelings.
Can you hypnotize someone into sleeping with you?
I gave her some suggestions to be sexually aroused.
Can you get someone to join your cult?
NLP was used on me to access my subconscious.
NLP, aka Neuro-Linguistic Programming, is a blend of hypnosis, linguistics, and psychology. Fans say it's like finally getting a user manual for your brain.
It's about engineering consciousness.
Mind Games is the story of NLP. Its crazy cast of disciples and the fake doctor who invented it at a New Age commune and sold it to guys in suits. He stood trial for murder and got acquitted. The biggest mind game of all? NLP might actually work.
This is wild.
Listen to Mind Games on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey there, this is Dr. Jesse Mills, director of the Men's Clinic at UCLA Health and host of the Mailroom podcast. Each January, guys everywhere make the same resolutions. Get stronger, work harder, fix what's broken. But what if the real work isn't physical at all? To kick off the new year, I sat down with Dr. Steve Poulter, a psychologist with over 30 years' experience helping men unpack shame, anxiety, and emotional pain they were never taught to name. In a powerful two-part conversation, we discuss why men aren't emotionally bulletproof, why shame hides in plain sight, and how real strength comes from listening to yourself and to others.
Guys who are toxic, they're immature, or they've got something they just haven't resolved. Once that gets resolved, then there comes empathy and some compassion.
If you want this to be the year you stop powering through pain and start understanding what's underneath, listen to The Mailroom on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows.
If there was one major difference between the first trial and the retrial of Rabbi Fred Newlander, it was the testimony of his son, Matthew. While on the witness stand, Matthew Newlander only referred to his father by his first name, Fred. It was something even the rabbi's defense lawyer did not ignore.
Did he call his father Dad? No. Did he call him father? No. He called him Fred. Right from the beginning. Fred this, Fred that. The anger of that young man and the sadness was overwhelming.
Interestingly enough, the defense did not put the rabbi back on the witness stand. Instead, they focused on Len Genoff's long history of lying and urged the jurors not to let emotion cloud their judgment.
Ladies and gentlemen, emotion is not evidence. Passion is not proof.
Prosecutor James Lynch had the final word.
Mr. Leonard Genoff is not being held up to you as a model citizen. He is a man who took money to kill someone.
The case went to the 7 men and 5 women of the jury on Friday, November 15th, 2002. The following Wednesday, Judge Baxter received a note from the jury's forewoman.
I understand from your note that you have reached a verdict.
Yes, we have.
After 27 hours of deliberations, the jury's forewoman stood before Judge Baxter. When she spoke, her voice quivered. And there was something else. She had tears in her eyes. Before anyone could guess the meaning of those tears, the verdict echoed through the courtroom.
Guilty.
Nearly 8 years after the murder of Carol Newlander, her husband, Rabbi Fred Newlander, was found guilty of capital murder. In the back of the courtroom, Carol's siblings all locked hands, put their heads down, and started to cry. Meanwhile, the rabbi stood there in a daze as Judge Baxter addressed the jury.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, having found the defendant Fred Newlander guilty of murder, you now have, as you know, the added responsibility of determining what penalty for that crime is to be imposed upon him.
A guilty verdict in a capital murder trial triggers what's known as the penalty phase. This meant these 12 jurors, one who already had tears in her eyes, had the added responsibility of deciding the rabbi's fate. And at the time, New Jersey still had the death penalty.
Under the law enacted by our legislature, the penalty may be either death or a term of years between 30 years and life imprisonment, of which 30 years must be served before the defendant is eligible for parole.
Much like the trial itself, the prosecutors and the defense both presented their arguments for what they considered just punishment. And that included testimony from the rabbi.
I am here to offer a plea for my life.
Fred Newlander was 61 years old at the time and delivered what was arguably the most important sermon of his life.
If I look at the days of the years of my life before the 1st of November of 1994, they were filled with great blessings. First and foremost, I had my wife, Carol. She was a remarkable woman. And I miss her, and I loved her, and I love her. Now, there are those who I'm sure behind their hands would snicker. I have acknowledged for the longest time my behavior that was reprehensible and my behavior that was disgraceful. And yet, you must believe I loved her and love her. Starting today, there is another sense of the days of the years of my life that will unfold. I do not know where I will be. Quite obviously, don't know now. But wherever I will be, there will be men who cannot read.
The rabbi explained that in Hebrew, the word rabbi means teacher.
I'm a good teacher. I was a good teacher. I can be a good teacher, and I want to help that young man. That will enhance the days of the years of my life by helping the days of the years of that young man's life. That's all I want, is that opportunity to teach. I beseech you, I importune you, I beg of you for that privilege. And I promise that I will do whatever a teacher should do to enrich the lives of people that come in contact with that teacher.
The rabbi smiled and nodded to the jury before slowly walking back to the defense table. He sat down, removed his glasses, and looked exhausted. 2 full days passed before the jury returned. That's when the forewoman handed a note to Judge Baxter.
After due deliberation, the jury cannot unanimously agree upon punishment.
This shifted the responsibility back to Judge Baxter, who now had to impose a sentence. At another hearing in early 2003, witnesses from both sides stated their case for punishment, including the rabbi's sister-in-law.
He is truly a monster beyond human comprehension, and he should never, ever be free again.
Carol's brother also didn't mince words.
You are the lowest form of humanity.
You dishonored Carol, yourself, your children, this court, your congregation, the rabbinate, and Judaism.
Absent from the hearing were the rabbi's son Matthew and daughter Rebecca. Instead, they sent letters to the court. Rebecca wrote, "I'm not sure that he will ever fully comprehend what his egomaniacal and selfish acts did to my family and me." Matthew went a step further and called his father a sociopath and a worthless, soulless, pathetic shell of a man. Throughout both of these trials, the third Newlander child, Benjamin, steered clear of the courtroom. Until now, Benjamin had refrained from commenting and testifying about his mother's murder. But that day, all eyes were on him as he walked into the courtroom and broke his silence about his father.
Things like soccer games, swim meets, school events, at as many as he could. I remember seeing him there. And, those were the good times. I knew that when I needed somebody to be there for me for any particular difficulty that I was having, he and I could relate on a very special level. And I knew that as busy as he was, he would always be able to find time to just guide me through whatever issues that I was having. That's what he did for many people, was to guide them. And I knew that I could always count on him to be around for that.
Benjamin Newlander was now returning the favor for his dad.
I'm a teacher. And one of the biggest reasons that I'm a teacher is because of my father. So I think that speaks for just his influence on me. I think he led me down an amazing path. And I think that there are other people that he can do that for. And just give him the chance to show that he can still do that, because I know that he can.
Ultimately, Fred Newlander's fate was in Judge Baxter's hands. And after careful consideration, she spared him the death penalty, instead issuing the maximum sentence short of death, 30 years to life. Here's his former lawyer, Jeff Zucker.
He's in a prison where almost everybody in the prison is serving tremendously long sentences or life sentences. The last time I saw him, he still professes his innocence. Says he had nothing to do with it.
Rabbi Fred Newlander was incarcerated in a maximum security prison in New Jersey. It's one of the country's oldest facilities.
I feel horribly for the family. I mean, I don't think he's had any contact with his children. I spent a lot of time with each of his children preparing for this trial, and they were all nice kids. They really were. It's a horrible tragedy for them. I think Matthew was legitimately horrified by his father. First, your mother's murdered, and then your father's convicted of the murder. It can't get much worse.
In the middle of the night, Saskia awoke in a haze. Her husband, Mike, was on his laptop. What was on his screen would change Saskia's life forever.
I said, I need you to tell me exactly what you're doing. And immediately, the mask came off.
You're supposed to be safe. That's your home. That's your husband.
To keep this secret for so many years, he's like a seasoned pro.
This is a story about the end of a marriage, but it's also the story of one woman who was done living in the dark.
You're a dangerous person who preys on vulnerable and trusting people. You're a predator, Michael Levingood.
Listen to Betrayal Season 5 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What if mind control is real?
If you could control the behavior of anybody around you, what kind of life would you have?
Can you hypnotically persuade someone to buy a car?
When you look at your car, you're going to become overwhelmed with such good feelings.
Can you hypnotize someone into sleeping with you?
I gave her some suggestions to be sexually aroused.
Can you get someone to join your cult?
NLP was used on me to access my subconscious.
NLP, aka Neuro-Linguistic Programming, is a blend of hypnosis, linguistics, and psychology. Fans say it's like finally getting a user manual for your brain.
It's about engineering consciousness.
Mind Games is the story of NLP. Its crazy cast of disciples and the fake doctor who invented it at a New Age commune and sold it to guys in suits. He stood trial for murder and got acquitted. The biggest mind game of all? NLP might actually work. This is wild. Listen to Mind Games on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey there, this is Dr. Jesse Mills, director of the Men's Clinic at UCLA Health and host of the Mailroom podcast. Each January, guys everywhere make the same resolutions. Get stronger, work harder, fix what's broken. But what if the real work isn't physical at all? To kick off the new year, I sat down with Dr. Steve Poulter, a psychologist with over 30 years' experience helping men unpack shame, anxiety, and emotional pain they were never taught to name. In a powerful two-part conversation, we discuss why men aren't emotionally bulletproof, why shame hides in plain sight, and how real strength comes from listening to yourself and to others.
Guys who are toxic, they're immature, or they've got something they just haven't resolved. Once that gets resolved, then there comes empathy and some compassion.
If you want this to be the year you stop powering through pain and start understanding what's underneath, listen to The Mailroom on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your favorite shows.
More than 8 years and 2 trials later, Rabbi Fred Newlander was convicted of hiring a hitman to kill his wife, Carol. In 2003, Rabbi Newlander agreed to an interview with Barbara Walters. And once again, the rabbi declared his innocence.
If you were innocent, why would God do this to you?
I don't think God is a great puppeteer. I think what happened to me was driven by human beings.
Rabbi Newlander said law enforcement was under an enormous amount of pressure to solve the murder and used his infidelity to label him a murderer.
Rabbi, as God is your witness, did you have anything to do with your wife's murder?
No.
He said that of all the victims, he cried the most for his children. He added that he was devastated that 2 of them wrote him off.
Aren't you tormented if you're sitting here an innocent man?
You have no idea how much rage I have.
Show it.
You know, one of the things that I have been trained to do is hold on to my emotions.
The rabbi explained that there's no book that says this is how a guilty person acts and this is how an innocent person acts.
I can't express remorse for a murder that I did not commit.
Afterwards, Barbara Walters called their interview eerie because the rabbi, who claimed to be enraged, displayed no emotion throughout their interview. As for Len Genoff and Paul Michael Daniels, the 2 who actually carried out the murder of Carol Newlander, both pled guilty and were sentenced to 23 years in prison.
I've dealt in one way or another with the Newlander case since 1999.
Arthur Megiddo wrote the book, The Rabbi and the Hitman. And there was one final and bizarre twist in this case. In May 2008, Len Genoff filed a motion challenging his sentence. In that motion, he claimed ineffective counsel and stated that his lawyer slept through most of his court proceedings. He also alleged he had been promised significantly less time than 23 years.
Len Genoff was such a dubious and questionable character, and in the best of all worlds, nobody should believe anything he ever said.
And then, in 2009, Len Genoff said he had given a lot of thought to what happened and wanted to set the record straight. In a signed affidavit, Len wrote, "Fred Newlander never asked me to kill his wife, and to the best of my knowledge, he never had any idea of any attempt on his wife's life." In other words, Len Genoff recanted and said the incident at the Newlanders was a robbery gone bad and not a murder for hire. He said he made up the story that implicated the rabbi because he was promised leniency if he cooperated with the prosecutor's office.
How could Genoff be believed now? He's lied over and over again, he admits, but he claims he's telling the truth just this one time.
Well, it turns out Len Genoff wasn't done lying. 3 years after retracting his confession, Genoff flip-flopped yet again. In 2012, Len told the Philadelphia Inquirer that he regretted recanting his statement. He said, "I testified at 2 trials that Fred Newlander did hire me, in fact, to kill his wife and make it look like a robbery. And that is the truth." Len called his actions immoral and again reverted to his initial testimony at the trials.
Leonard Genoff was not a man of his word, had never been a man of his word, and absolutely nothing coming out of Genoff's mouth could be believed.
In 2014, both Len Genoff and Paul Michael Daniels walked out of prison free men. They both had served more than 14 years before being released from prison. Throughout the years, Rabbi Fred Newlander has appealed his conviction and petitioned for a new trial. Each time, he was denied. In a 2012 interview with NBC 10 in Philadelphia, the rabbi admitted his behavior in his marriage was appalling. He called himself an embarrassment and said he should have behaved better, but maintained he did not kill his wife.
I would hope that there was some deep core of Fred Newlander that was speaking to him, nagging at him and telling him he was a shame and a shambles of a human being. We'll never know what happened.
He's right. We will never know the full story about why Carol Newlander was murdered, because in April 2024, the rabbi took those answers to his grave.
Fred Newlander, a former Cherry Hill rabbi who was convicted in the murder for hire of his wife, has died in prison at the age of 82.
Correctional officers found Fred Newlander unresponsive on Wednesday. After performing CPR and using an AED, Newlander was pronounced dead in the hospital.
No cause of death was released to the public. And according to one of the rabbi's former lawyers, up until the time of his death, the rabbi had been counseling other inmates on religion.